So this is where we are now. So welcome everybody. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
So we're on Have We Really Found the Theory of Everything? So if we go down the list, that's number 23. So there's another 10 to go. So they look very interesting, the next few. How does light actually work? I'm interested in that. Is time travel possible in our universe? Interesting to see what they're going to say about that. How did the universe begin? What is hidden in the darkness at the beginning of time? How early could life have appeared? Are the first stars really still out there? What did James Webb really see at the beginning of time? Why shouldn't the universe exist? Actually, they're all pretty interesting from now on. So looking forward to those.
I log it out.
Right. In the meantime, let's just check if we've got any more to log in. A couple more just joined. All right, so I'm going to stop recording now and then start again when we start discussing. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, the brain refers to my frail brain. But I must say I did pick up a couple of things there. This was that AFT, whatever correspondence I've heard that mentioned before by that famous Stanford physicist is in charge of LIGO. Yeah. So there are a lot of new developments as well lately. I've seen recently a couple of excellent videos, but they're about an hour and a half long each, by this sort of Indian-looking sounding interviewer who seems to be quite a highfalutin physicist himself. And his thing seems to be for sort of theoretical physicists, not really for the layperson, but he interviews various experts. And a few weeks ago, he interviewed somebody that sounded very convincing that there was no need to quantize gravity. You could work out a theory of everything without that, and seemed very convincing. And then a couple of weeks later, he interviewed somebody who said it is possible to quantize gravity, but you have to quantize gravity. And they also sounded very convincing, but they had the opposite story. Unfortunately, it was a bit above me to try and judge whether one was better than the other, or one of them was good, or whatever. So, anybody got questions or comments on this lot? Who's going to give it a go?
Derek, I went down the C.S. Lewis rabbit hole long ago, halfway through that conversation. It's
Okay.
the rabbit hole indeed, very difficult to us. Yeah, but interesting that all those, I actually didn't fall asleep, Derek, because it's just so new and so extensive. I can't imagine how those physicists understand that the mathematics, hence the fight between the two, I think. Most interesting.
I've heard that Johann Maldesener's name before, but I've never realized quite where he fits in the whole history of physics type of thing, and he's quite important. And what he says makes a lot of sense. You know, that approaching the thing two different ways, each with their own formulas for the way you view it from the position that you're in, have to end up, because they intersect, so to speak, have to end up with the same answer. Each calculation, although each is a totally different calculation. So that makes quite a bit of sense to me. So it's just amazing that they can drive the thing so far when you're working at a world that is one fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what we can actually physically detect in any kind of microscope. So, yeah, deeply theoretical. So, but it sounds to me like they've gone quite far down the path of a theory of everything. But to me, it will be a theory of everything if they say, right, this is now the theory of everything. Here are all the formulas. If you apply these and work through them, you should end up with protons and electrons and stuff and make atoms. And if you can use the theory to create the universe, so to speak, then I'll believe them.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I wonder if these guys approach the thing the right way, like on our level, in our everyday lives, when we have to solve a problem, how do we do it? We sort of try and step back from the trees and we try to ask the right questions. In fact, the first question we ask ourselves is, what is the right question to ask? And you're going to get nowhere unless you ask the right questions. And you've got to try and base things on what you are sure of. Facts that you do observe and do know are true. We've got fundamentals like the maximum speed of light in a vacuum, things like that. I'm quite interested to see where they talk about speed of light and how does light work and so on in a couple of the future lectures. I'm quite interested to see what they've come up with there.
Derek, I'm sorry, but I can't come up with any question after that, other than not to be facetious, but that is a beautiful picture that you've got on your screen tonight. Where is that, Derek?
This is a farm that our family used to own on the west coast, just a bit north of Cape Town. We sold it in 2001. I took my share and bought a house in Hermanus and did nothing for 2 years.
Oh yes, what a beautiful setting! Yeah.
Yeah, we were very sad to sell it. It was unique. It was 1,200 hectare farm originally, of which the Nat government expropriated 200 hectares of sand dunes because my father managed to get the rest of it actually certified as a historical monument, the whole farm, because of the unique fynbos, unique to the farm, the Bokpai Faitli. The farm is called Bokpai. It's where the Bokpai Faitli comes from and a whole lot of other unique stuff, which is nowhere else in the world. So yeah, 7 kilometers of coastline. The guy that bought it was a German by the name of Dieter Bock. We think he bought it because it was called Bokpai.
And he's maintained it pristine, Derek.
Yeah, look, he passed away a few years ago, and then a family from Cape Town called the Parkers bought it. And they actually restored the house. The house is 300 years old, and the buildings, and they sort of endowed it as a sort of a nature wildlife research farm. So the students, the house was converted to a sort of student accommodation, classroom. So yeah, it's being used for a good purpose now.
Yeah, thanks, Derek.
Yeah, I was just clicking on different backgrounds, and I happened to click on that one just to have a background picture. So yeah. That's actually a picture that appeared in some magazine, and I found it and restored it a bit. We used to get botanists that would come there every year and so on from Japan and all over the world, and we would entertain them and give them curried pork chops for lunch, and they would say, "What kind of beef is this? It's delicious." Try and tell them, no, it's not beef. And they say, "But it's huge," because these were from free-range pigs that my dad they just used to have the free run of the farm, and the only food they used to eat was bushes and stuff. They had flavors like you cannot get in any meat that you can buy today. And the meat was red, it wasn't white, it was red. Different world today. Okay, so how are we on the cosmology? It's a tough one to take anything from, but I think I did learn a bit. So I think, I always thought that string theory was a total dud and that people had given up on it, but it doesn't seem like it, and it seems like it still holds promise. So yeah, in its guise as brain theory and the other later developments he spoke of. Yeah. So when some clever guy gives us a lecture about how the world really works, and we might understand some of it having seen this lecture. At least, hopefully. All right. Is everybody hungry? You want to go and have supper?
Well, thank you very much, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully, hopefully next time it will be a little bit more interesting and much more approachable. All right.
Thank you, Derek.
We'll
Thanks
see
a
you
lot.
next time.
Family,
Thank you very much,
family
everybody.
history was
Thanks a
very
lot, Derek.
interesting.
Thanks, pleasure, Laura. Nice to see you again.
Stay well. Thank you.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.